Good morning, Carter.
What's up, DK?
Welcome to everyone to another Morning Java brought to you as always by our friends at the Get Go Cafe and Market, where they are open for business. They have cheese curls. They also have subs that are $4.99 for a 7-inch sub right now, Carter.
7 inches, a lot of meat. Get your veggies in there. And again, I can't stress this enough. When I've gone in there, they're taking every precaution to make sure that the place is clean and safe. So if you're a germaphobe or if you're worried about the virus getting to you, you go to Get Go, you're going to be safe.
You don't have to be a germaphobe at this stage of the
you're
pandemic.
Right. I was thinking in general. I'm like, wait a minute. That's right. We've been in.
Yeah, right. I like it anyway here. Let's talk a little football.
Yeah, let's do it.
The Steelers aren't done. They can't be done.
No.
What's missing? How do you get it?
Well, okay, so you have a few options here. The top two, obviously, are safety and linebacker. Now, Inside linebacker, yes. Thank you for specifying. Here's the thing. With inside linebacker, you're not looking for a person that's really expensive, or B, a person who's really a thumper, because then you're just you're doubling down on what you have in Vince Williams. They need a person who's comfortable at least moving in space. There's still some interesting names out there, and they're not names that the Steelers traditionally would pick up in this type of situation, because they usually go for guys that can do special teams. But the Eagles, it's funny, the Eagles took Javon Hargrave. Their guy Nigel Bradham's still out there, and he's an interesting player that can move around in a defense. And he's someone that has shown veteran savviness at linebacker that could be interesting for the position. Safety's also tricky because you're looking for an immediate backup. They got Antoine Brooks, but Brooks isn't going to help you deep. Brooks is purely in the box. Let me blitz. Let me stop the run. Let me cover the flats. But right now they need a deep defender that can just kind of just relay signals, be good at that, and just kind of fill in so that Minkah Fitzpatrick or Terrell Edmonds can get breathers. And those are the two top needs, in my opinion. They're good in the interior offensive line. I think offensive tackle, they're fine. Everyone wants to go get a quarterback right now, but the two very affordable.
No, they don't. Not everyone.
Well, not everyone. Well, I'm just saying because every day,
I know, but that doesn't make it real. I know.
Will they get Andy Dalton? I'm just so.
I know,
so
but that doesn't mean it's real. I'm going to throw out a name here that why not a Mark Barron?
That's a name that a lot of people have actually been bringing up, and he makes a lot of sense. He'll already know their system. He's already getting sub-dead money from them already, and he hasn't been picked up. I know he might be better that he was let go of. But the deal that he was given was a 2-year deal where if he proved himself highly valuable, they would have kept him in. But he didn't. And so they had to let him go to make moves now. But
yeah, but he wasn't bad. I think Barron is one of those guys who I refer to this as being bow-ringered, and it's just a personal thing. The Pirates had a reliever a few years back, like about 15 years ago, named Brian Bowringer. Dude had the worst April you've ever seen. Like every pitch was a rocket home run, okay? Mm-hmm. And then he pitched great the rest of the year, and it didn't matter because all anybody remembered was that he stunk. When the first time they heard his name, he stunk. And I think Barron is a guy who got a little bit bow-ringered because he had a couple of touchdowns that he conceded early in the season. He was the last guy that was standing next to the guy who caught a touchdown pass, but he also ended up becoming a pretty meaningful part, I think, of the offense.
And defense. No, but your point is he provided flexibility on defense.
Yeah.
Now Devin Bush, and again, I want to reiterate this that I've said before. The defense. Everyone's excited about the defense this year. But don't forget just 3 seasons ago when everyone was excited about the defense and Ryan Shazier went out and then everything fell apart. Now, this defense is more built to handle that because they've got help at safety and cornerback, unlike that defense. But you look at how this unit's built. If Devin Bush goes down, they don't have that sideline-to-sideline guy anymore. And Mark Barron would at least give you a guy that, hey, I can call your defense. I can know which gaps to attack, and I can at least be solid in the middle of the defense rather than going out and getting a guy that you're not sure about and you're taking a flyer on. I think Mark Barron is a very good name to bring up in this situation.
Yeah, and there's got to be a safety in the mix as well. No question about that. I know you and I have discussed this a lot, including off camera, about the idea of getting somebody that would allow Terrell Edmonds to be closer to the line of scrimmage and maybe work more toward his skills as a pseudo skinny linebacker. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
But that player exists, and that player exists at what I'm sure it would be a reasonable price. Andy Dalton's coming to the Steelers, Carter.
No, he's not.
Oh, he's not?
He's going to Dallas.
Oh, Andy Dalton walked onto the field in Buffalo, New York for a warm-up and was given a standing ovation. Do you remember this?
Yes, because he got him to the playoffs.
What a moment. What a moment. And the best part about it is that Andy totally soaked it up. Like this is a guy who's not necessarily, huh?
What else is he going to get that though?
Well, but he stopped and he looked around to the masses and waved at them like Richard Nixon, and it was just like, yeah, I did that. It was great. Just great. I've always been a guy who I understood, and I criticized the Bengals at the time they gave him the contract that they did, because to me it felt like anointing a franchise quarterback as opposed to having one. Like, here, if we pay you like a franchise quarterback, then you are one. Well, no, that's actually not the case, as he would go on to prove. But, what are we looking at here? I mean, what's going to happen with him in Dallas?
With Dallas, I think the situation is Dak Prescott is on a deal right now that's not him and Jerry Jones were going at odds for a little bit. Dallas wanted to make sure that they had a solidified backup quarterback for if ever Dak Prescott went down. He's been an Iron Man for them at times. He's been a guy that's carried them through even when Ezekiel Elliott wasn't able to perform. They needed a guy who had experience to back him up to make sure that offense flowed, because like the Steelers, I think the Cowboys recognize that they've got a lot of key pieces right now and they need to strike while the iron is hot. So Dalton gives them that flexibility that, hey, if that goes down for any reason, we're going to be good to go. We're going to have we're going to be able to we're going to be able to keep the offense going and not lose too much of a beat, because I still think there's going to be a good bit of this that goes through Ezekiel Elliott.
Okay, but Dallas's iron isn't exactly scalding.
I mean, but you have to think they're paying guys right now. They're looking at they brought in another receiver to help with Amari Cooper. I think that Jerry Jones is trying to load up to take a shot very soon, if not in the next couple of years.
But he does that all the time, which is part of the reason that the Cowboys never get anywhere. Because you're never building toward anything. You're just constantly just ramming everything into the same pile. This just reminds me, too, the Cowboys, I understand they still get the hype because they have the fan base and everything else like that. But how, even watching that draft, the way people speak about the Cowboys it's as if they matter. And they don't, though. It's a nothing team.
I wouldn't say it's a nothing team.
They were in a garbage division, Carter, and still couldn't do anything.
I agree. They have underperformed as of late, but I mean, they still have star power. I mean, don't forget, back in 2016, they were looking unstoppable, and they've had a lot of those same players. They re-upped with Amari Cooper. I think they've just had a bunch of circumstances that hadn't worked their way, and also, I mean, I think the biggest thing is they still have that name, and no matter what happens,
that's all it is, though.
Yeah, that's what it's been for a while. But you can't forget that they when they did make the playoffs, they were considered a threat, and a lot of people still see with Prescott, with Elliott, with Cooper, that's a three-headed monster that everyone's looking at and saying, you know what, they might be able to do something. The key thing is, for me, they have to find some continuity on defense. They lost Byron Jones in the offseason. He went to the Dolphins. I still see the NFC East. You're right. It's not been a strong division. Philadelphia is going to have to figure out a lot, but that's just the thing. All Dallas has to do this in the next couple of years is just be better than the Eagles and hope that Washington and New York don't figure anything out.
But they don't. The Washington never figures anything out. If Dak Prescott played quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, he wouldn't be somebody that you would say, oh, they have star power. He just wouldn't. Dak Prescott's name was made by being with he had a really, really good start, obviously, to his career, to say the least, and he was a nice story and everything else. But the idea that Dak Prescott is a star in this league is simply attached to nothing other than the franchise at this point.
I think that part of it, yes, he's gotten a boost because he's with the Cowboys. But when you look at the play that he's had over the years, he really didn't get a chance to shine because their receivers were so bad. And then as soon as they got Amari Cooper, you saw, oh, wait, that's the Dak Prescott that everyone's been hyping up. Is he a top 5 quarterback? Heck no. Is he top 10? Maybe bottom of the top 10. But when you look at how he's played in their system, I think that he's done a good enough job to keep them in games. My thing for the long term, though, they still have to figure out just how their offense is going to work. They added some firepower, but they also lost Travis Frederick. He retired. A huge part of their offense was that offensive line. He was a supreme center, some argue the best center in the league, and now he's out of here. I think the Cowboys still have a lot of answers to have. Dalton, again, just kind of reinforces to say, like, hey, if Dak goes down, we're not all the way dead. Because, again, like you said, Dak isn't a superstar. I think that he has potential, but he's a guy that, if you lose Ezekiel Elliott, that offense is in a lot of trouble. You lose Dak Prescott, if you have a decent replacement, you could still operate in it.
So the NFL is forging ahead. Brian McCarthy, the league's vice president, told ESPN over the weekend he and the league and everybody else is proceeding as if it's business as usual, meaning for the purposes of schedule. They're still going to release it on May 9th, which, of course, is later this week. At least I think it is. And
it's Saturday.
And everything else. Now, the first football event that would occur is in early August, and that would be Steelers versus
Cowboys.
Cowboys, that's right, in the Hall of Fame game up in Canton. We'll see if any of that comes to pass. It's a long time from now. I can't rule anything out. Me, just in reading about this stuff and seeing how everything changes from week to week. And, 1 week it looks like it's the end of the world. The next week we're starting to loosen up a little bit. But the one thought, and I had this over the weekend here, and I wanted to run it past you. If you allowed fans into the stadiums, okay, in lesser numbers, okay, because that's the biggest fear that anybody has. They're like the germ bomb or whatever. You have 70,000 people in one place and they're all ramming against each other. If everybody gets it, then you're talking about, okay. But let's say you had a situation where, and this is unique to the NFL because of the size of their stadiums, that you said, all right, it's a 70,000 seat stadium. We're going to set it up in a certain way so that 10,000 people can come in.
Yeah.
Feasible, not feasible. Not asking you to play Dr. Fauci here, but is it palatable? Is it worth it?
I think that having some fan capacity would be extremely worth it. One thing I can tell you, I've been to Heinz Field for high school football games when there's not even 10,000 people in there. And when you're on that field, you still hear the noise.
You still hear them. Yeah, but they're also in the lower bowl, though. That's what I know. I thought you might say that. Of course, the cynics, I can hear them right now, are referring to Pitt games, even as we speak. Mm-hmm. That's actually, but the truth is, the Pitt games are a better example. I'm not being a jerk because they use the entire stadium.
Right, exactly.
And they are really spread out, and you do see all that yellow, but they're fanned out, and you can just say, look, there has to be, only every other row is open. You have to have at least 2 seats between you and whatever, the next set next to you. You can have ushers or whatever walk around and police it. What am I missing here?
I mean, it sounds very feasible to me. The thing is that I always try to acknowledge whenever I talk about COVID-19, I was just like, I am no doctor. I am no.
Right. Now we get that. And I mean, anybody who's going to think we're playing something, I'm just throwing it out there from a sports perspective. What would that atmosphere be like? Would it be worth the effort to do that?
I think it would be, as long as the NFL and other leagues when they try to do this can find a feasible way to make sure when people are coming in, because I think the bigger concern would be people getting into and out of the stadium, because that's going to be the key is when people are still funneling in, they ought to go in through the same gates, and there's only so many gates that you can go through. So having people line up, even if you're thinking 10,000 people, that's a lot of people filing their way into the stadium and possibly touching the same stairs. And
the solutions for that, Carter, are you stagger your entry times. If you have a ticket that's marked with a yellow thing, then you must enter by 11:30 a.m. If you have a ticket that's marked red, you have to enter by whatever, so that you don't have that. We've seen it, that, that funnel over there on the riverside of Heinz Field, that bottleneck that's created over there. And they have the dude on the megaphone telling everybody, you have 3 other ways to get in the stadium, people. And nobody takes it because all they know is that one. But you make it, man, you have this ticket. You can literally only enter through gate B or through gate C.
Mm-hmm. I think that's feasible. I mean, and listen, the NFL has enough money; they can figure this type of thing out.
I would think so.
And they have plenty of months to do this. I think there are really feasible ways to make it so that fans can still experience the game. And because the other factor is, I think, not just the fans being in the stadium for their enjoyment, but having the crowd noise for people on TV, because that's the biggest thing on all of this. The NFL could have 0 people come to the games, and as long as those games make TV, they're going to make a lot of money. And that's
TV. There are some TV networks that are better at it than others. The local one, AT&T Sportsnet, is horrendous at putting microphone on crowds, whether it's at Pirates games or Penguins games. And you notice that in the difference between the local broadcasts and the national ones. But the ones who do know how to do it can mic up a crowd, and you can get sounds out of it. Heck, if you played a game in Indianapolis, they put in their own crowd noise.
Yeah, Atlanta too. But that's the whole thing, is that there are ways to make this work. It's not completely out of the realm of possibility. And again, we have no idea what June's going to look like, let alone the rest of May. So this is still far projecting ahead. But if we're in a state where people think, one, A, sports can happen, and B, we can at least attend things in some minimized capacity, the NFL has the billions of dollars to find a way to make this happen across the country.
But can they dictate, do you do elbow bumps?
Oh, yeah.
Do you do, is that what it is? It's elbow bumps? Right?
Elbow bumps. I still elbow bump people on occasion when I'm out and I'm doing stuff. So
because you can't put your elbow on your. Well, I guess you can. I mean, but not the back of the elbow.
You have to really work to do it. And first of all, if you elbow bump somebody and then still touch your face with your elbow, I think you deserve to.
You just deserve to have it. Yeah. It's been nice having you.